Call this regular meeting of the Coralville City Council to order, November 24th, 2020 via Zoom. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Foster.
Present.
Gross.
Here.
Wynn.
Here.
Dodds.
Here.
Goodrich.
I saw her.
You're muted, Lori.
I am here. Sorry. Yeah, I'm here.
Thank you. Okay. All council members are present, as is the mayor, the city clerk, city administrator, city attorney, and several other staff members. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Okay, moved by Foster, seconded by Goodrich. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
Thank you. The motion is, or the agenda is approved. Item 4 is citizen comments. Do we have anyone at City Hall or joining us via Zoom this evening?
No one on City Hall, Mayor.
There were no written comments or anything.
Okay, we will move on then. Item 5 is a discussion and update with Senator Wahls. He has a prior commitment that he'll be joining us when he can. So when he zooms in, I will work him into the agenda at the point that he arrives.
And what's the update on?
Maybe his new leadership position, I don't know. He asked to be put on the agenda.
Rookie mistake to get put on the agenda the night before Thanksgiving Eve, but we'll talk about that later.
Okay, well, you're his advisor, so.
I know, I'm not doing a good job.
Okay. Oh, boy. Okay, let's move on to, we have several items tonight that are third and final considerations. The item 6 is 2500 Holiday Court. It's the third and final consideration of an ordinance that will change the land use map of property located on Holiday Court from regional commercial to high density residential. Don?
Ordinance number 2020-1017, an ordinance amending the Coralville Community Plan to reflect certain property generally known as 2500 Holiday Court, Coralville, Iowa, to be designated a high density residential use in place of commercial use, and introduced for its third and final reading consideration by Councilmember Foster, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gross. Any discussion? Roll call.
Gross.
Aye.
Wynn.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Ordinance passes its final consideration, all ayes. Item 7 is Eagle Bend at Clear Creek. 2 items. First one is the third and final reading of an ordinance that will rezone the property from R1 single family residential to RPUD1 residential plan unit development district. And there'll also be action on the second item to approve a PUD site plan. Don?
Ordinance number 2020-1018, an ordinance amending the Coralville zoning ordinance, the same being ordinance number 664 as previously amended, rezoning certain property located within the corporate limits of the city of Coralville, Johnson County, Iowa, and generally known as Eagle Bend at Clear Creek from R1 single family residential district to RPUD1 residential plan unit development 1 district, introduced for third and final consideration by Councilmember Gross, seconded by.
Second.
Boy, you all came in at once, but the screen popped to Dodds, so seconded by Dodds. Any discussion? All in favor? Or, excuse me, roll call.
Wynn.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Gross.
Okay, ordinance passes its third and final consideration, all ayes. Item B is a resolution approving the PUDA site plan for the same project.
Resolution approving the PUDA site plan for Eagle Bend at Clear Creek, Coralville, Iowa is introduced for adoption by Councilmember Wynn, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Goodrich. Discussion? Roll call.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich,
Aye.
Foster,
Aye.
Gross,
Aye.
Quinn,
Aye.
Thank you. Resolution is approved, all ayes. Moving on to item 8 is the unbiased policing ordinance. This is the second consideration of this ordinance this evening. Item A is a motion to amend the ordinance. I gather that's to amend the changes that were discussed or suggested at our last meeting and are now have been added into the second version. Is that correct?
yeah, and they should be in red on your packet so you can see where I added.
Right. So the council, I mean, we can just quickly run through them, the amendments if you'd like. Added was a definition of a law enforcement officer. There's some discussion at our last meeting where there are other enforcement officers such as DNR and others, and this clarifies a little more clearly what exactly the qualifications and specifications for law enforcement officer are.
Then the other change was in the making it up to 7 members, and the majority have to be Coralville residents, and adding one person who is a member of the NAACP and one person who's a member of LULAC. And I'll be making another tweak to that for the next meeting based on some comments I received from Councilmember Dodds at the next meeting, just to clarify that even further.
Okay. Okay, well, I guess let's get started. I would entertain a motion to accept those amendments.
I move that we accept the amendments.
Okay, thank you. Moved by Goodrich, seconded by
Second.
Foster. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, thank you. Motion carries, all ayes. Now let's have the second consideration of the ordinance, Don.
Ordinance number 2020-1019, an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Coralville as previously amended, incorporating a chapter regarding unbiased policing introduced for a second consideration by Councilmember Dodds, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Nguyen. Discussion.
Mayor, I just had a couple questions following. Looking at the things like for item 10 on the document that was where the amendments were, like on use of force. Again, I'm assuming that the language that the state passed, that automatically gets written into our ordinances or our policies. Is that correct?
Those do apply. The state law applies to our police department, so we have to comply with those.
Okay. So right, it gets kind of like my question, like, when the state bans chokeholds, that's just assume that we have that.
Well, Mitch, yeah, it does not have to be written into our ordinance because it's a state law.
Okay.
You wouldn't.
Yep.
That's my question. Yep.
Unless the only time you would amend a city ordinance is if it's in conflict with the state law.
Gotcha.
So, but a state law could be more restrictive than the ordinance.
Perfect. Well, yeah, I guess I'll pause on that. That's good. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Mitch. Any other? Yeah,
yes.
go ahead.
Just for the council's review, or for knowledge, the clarification I had asked Kevin to put in was when it talked about a person on the committee being from the NAACP and LULAC, it talked kind of like that was one person, and so he was clarifying that it is one from each committee is all that it was.
Okay, thank you,
If you
Jill.
wondered what that was.
I was happy to see the addition that they be Coralville residents, the majority be Coralville residents. I thought that was important.
I actually just, for clarification's sake, just had a couple of questions. So when we were discussing this at our last meeting, we were talking about some of those details, things like term limits, length of service. I'm assuming that will be established when within that 6-month window. Would that be correct? That 6-month window that the board would convene and then they would bring those.
Correct. Those things
us.
would not be in the ordinance itself. Right.
Okay.
Yep.
So we could expect to see some of those details within about 6 months.
Correct.
Okay. And then how quickly, once we have the third reading, can we start recruiting for this board after we adopt it, right after we adopt it, or?
Yeah, correct. Typically what we would do is send out a notice, and the mayor gives us the time frame of, I don't know, Mayor, I think we've done typically a month or month and a half.
About that, yep.
Okay.
And then we would publish that also so that people know and put it on our website.
Okay. So we could have this potentially by the in January. We could start recruiting. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And we'll have to work with the NAACP on their member too, just to work with them too.
One last thing to add in, when we looked through the whole list of things of the information that we were going to gather, we were talking about what can be, if they were going to scan a license plate. And so I was wondering, Hai and I had kind of discussed it about what kind of information that they glean from the barcode on the back of your license plate, because a lot of that, ethnicity and things like that isn't on your license that we can visibly see. So I asked Kevin if maybe he could help find out what kind of information that they glean from that.
The state, that state committee that the lieutenant governor was chairing, they had a discussion of that. And they came up with the recommendation of a list of the items, and the legislature would have to take action on it. It'll take a long time till all that gets done, because your barcode wouldn't automatically change until you get a new license. So, that would be something that would be phased in over, probably it takes 5 to 6 years to get everybody, unlike Mitch that has to get it every year. Most people have it for 5 or 6, and so it'll take a long time before all that data is collected.
Sure. I was just curious what's collected now.
Yeah.
Not much.
Yeah. I didn't get a Deb or Shane were not in the office, so I will follow up on that and tell you what's collected now, but I don't when they scan that barcode.
It's very minimal.
I didn't expect you to do it today.
Oh, okay.
I have a quick question on section 4, item C. It said training. What exactly is the training, and if the training take longer than the time that they need to complete to be accepted to be on the board? How are we going to give them enough time to complete the training before we can consider them for the board?
Right.
And are we looking to compensate the training if necessary?
That would be something that we'd anticipate providing to them, and it would be after they get selected. They would not have to complete it before they're selected.
Some of the things other boards I've seen across the other states would be like doing ride-alongs during different shifts to see how police, what the police officers are actually doing on a day-to-day basis.
But there's also some other education sessions as well that we could provide. And I would anticipate a lot of those could be done as a group, or hopefully could be done online, so it's minimal disruption of their schedules.
Thank you.
Anything else? Roll call, please.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Ordinance passes its second consideration, all ayes. Thank you. Moving on to the East 9th Street Duct Bank. Quite a transition there. This is a resolution approving a supplemental agreement for the design and construction phase services for the Communications Duct Bank on East 9th Street. And it's not to exceed $14,136. Don?
Resolution approving supplemental agreement number 1 with HR Green Inc. for Iowa River Landing Public Improvements 2019 East 9th Street Duct Bank, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Goodrich, seconded by.
Second.
Second by Nguyen. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Foster,
Aye.
Gross,
Aye.
Nguyen,
Aye.
Dodds,
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes. Item 10 is the Iowa River Landing Part A resolution that accepts the installed paving, curb and gutter, water mains, sanitary sewer, stormwater mains, and sidewalks and appurtenances in the Iowa River Landing Part 8.
Resolution accepting municipal improvements constructed on Iowa River Landing Part 8, Coralville, Iowa, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Foster, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gross. Discussion? Roll call.
Gross,
Aye.
Nguyen,
Aye.
Dodds,
Aye.
Goodrich,
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Resolution's approved, all ayes. Item 11 is the third and final consideration, thank goodness, of 2 urban renewal areas, an ordinance that sets the base value of property in the urban renewal areas. The first one being Coral Ridge Commerce Park, and then the second one, Don will read, is for the near the Coral Galleria. Don?
Ordinance number 2020-1014, an ordinance amending ordinance number 608-707, 2001-942, 2006-1052, 2013-1009, 2014-1007, and 2017-1017, providing that general property taxes levied and collected each year on all property located within the Coralville Urban Renewal Project area in the city of Coralville, County of Johnson, State of Iowa, and for the benefit of the State of Iowa, City of Coralville, County of Johnson, Iowa City Community School District, and other taxing districts, be paid to a special fund for the payment of principal and interest on loans, monies advanced to, and indebtedness, including bonds issued or to be issued, incurred by said city in connection with said urban renewal redevelopment project. An ordinance introduced for adoption, third and final consideration by Councilmember Gross, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Foster. Discussion? Roll call.
Nguyen,
Aye.
Dodds,
Aye.
Goodrich,
Aye.
Foster,
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Ordinance passes its third and final consideration, all ayes. The second ordinance, Don?
Ordinance number 2020-1015, an ordinance amending ordinances number 650, 679, 97-786, 2001-941, 2002-95, 2013-1007, 2015-1018, 2016-1020, and 2017-1016, providing that general property taxes levied and collected each year on all property located within the Mall and Highway 6 Urban Renewal Project area in the city of Coralville, County of Johnson, State of Iowa, by and for the benefit of the State of Iowa, City of Coralville, County of Johnson, Iowa City Community School District, and other taxing districts, be paid to a special fund for payment of principal and interest on loans, monies advanced to, and indebtedness, including bonds issued or to be issued, incurred by said city in connection with said urban renewal redevelopment project, introduced for adoption, third and final consideration by Councilmember Nguyen, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Dodds. Discussion? Roll call.
Dodds,
Aye.
Goodrich,
Aye.
Foster,
Aye.
Gross,
Aye.
Quinn,
Aye.
The ordinance passes its third and final consideration, all ayes. Item 12 is the annual urban renewal report. This is the city council is required by state law to formally approve by motion the filing of this annual urban renewal report with the Iowa Department of Management. So I'd entertain a motion to approve and accept the annual urban renewal report fiscal year 2020.
So moved.
Okay, moved by Goodrich, seconded by
Second.
Foster. All in favor, or any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, thank you. Passes unanimously. Item 13 is the State Revolving Fund. The State Revolving Fund for Clean Water and Drinking Water, the SRF as it's better known as, has gratefully reduced its interest rate on all new 20-year loans from 3% to 1.75. So there's two resolutions that adjust our interests downward, which is always good. Don?
Resolution providing for a reduction of interest rate on the sewer revenue bond series 2010A, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Dodds, seconded by.
Second.
Second by Nguyen. Any questions or discussion?
I just report, Mayor, that the two changes net us savings of $140,000. So a very good thing.
That's
Is that
terrific.
per year then, Kelly, or is that per the
That's
loan?
line of those two
Per loan.
loans.
Yeah.
Yep.
Roll call?
Goodrich,
Aye.
Foster,
Aye.
Gross,
Aye.
Quinn,
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes. Item B, Don?
Resolution providing for the reduction of interest rate on sewer revenue bond series 2010B, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Goodrich, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gross. Roll call?
Foster,
Aye.
Gross,
Aye.
Quinn,
Aye.
Dodds,
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes. Moving on to item 14, Iowa River Landing. Two resolutions allowing for the construction of the hotel to be completed by April 30th, 2021, and memorializes the addition of the residential units on the 6th floor of the project.
Resolution approving an amendment to the development agreement with IRL Hotel Associates LLC, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Foster, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Goodrich. Discussion?
Yeah, Mayor, I would just report that this agreement preceded the PUD that you approved, and the PUD had all of that in the plans, including the extra floor with the condos. So this just brings that agreement up into conformance with that. And then also because of the delay with the architect, that's why the project got moved back several months as well.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions or discussion? Roll call?
Gross,
Aye.
Quinn,
Aye.
Dodds,
Aye.
Goodrich,
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes. Item B is for the same project relating to the condominiums, commercial condominiums. Don?
Resolution approving an amendment to the condominium declaration for the Iowa River Landing South Commercial Condominiums, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Gross, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Goodrich. Discussion? Roll call.
Quinn,
Aye.
Dodds,
Aye.
Foster,
Aye.
Goodrich,
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes. Item C, also in the Iowa River Landing, is a resolution approving covenants that outline the restrictions and covenants of development of the property south of East 9th Street.
Resolution approving the declaration of easements, covenants, conditions, and restriction for the property located south of East 9th Street in the Iowa River Landing District, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Nguyen, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Dodds. Any questions or discussion? Roll call.
Dodds,
Aye.
Goodrich,
Aye.
Foster,
Aye.
Gross,
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes. Item 15 is setting a public hearing for December 8th for discussion of CDBG funding for student support and NEST programs during the hybrid learning in the Iowa City Community School District.
Resolution setting a public hearing for the Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, contract number 20-OT-OZ081, funding student support and NEST program during hybrid learning in the Iowa City School District, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Dodd, seconded by.
Second.
Second by Gross, I believe, you got in there first. Any discussion?
Yeah, just a couple of items in regards to this grant. We were not able to get the nest that we're going to meet once a week for certain hours. We were not able to get those moving forward. So I have asked that the CDBG funds that was allocated to that go into our all-day program, because we have plenty of scholarships that could use that funds, and that would extend the time frame that we would have coverage for the scholarships. I've also asked the CDBG to consider either part of these funds or part of our the leftover funds that we had from the summer CDBG to be used to provide internet service at the church next to Northridge Pavilion or Park. With this, we've got a lot more students now that it's gone back to full-time online, and it has overloaded our the programs that we're using there. They don't have permanent internet service at the church. So we need to provide that internet service so that we don't overload the system and that the students then can all access what they need. So I've asked that either part of the funds from the summer CDBG or part of the funds from this help us match the funds that we have available to give that full-time internet service. So those two changes we hope to have reports on by next council meeting.
Well, and Kelly, would that then be enough to cover until the end of the school year if it's continue to be online learning?
No, it won't be. We probably, Sherry and I were working on that the other day, and it'll probably take us through the end of January. Depends a little bit on how long they stay on full-time internet or go back to the hybrid, because obviously it stretches longer if they're on hybrid, and that'll take us a little bit further into the school year because it doesn't cost as much. So it depends on how many days, but we'll figure that out and get that to you before the next meeting as well.
Thank you. How many scholarship was we able to provide with moving the fund from the NEST program over to the all-day program?
We, I believe we have funds available for a little over 25 per week. So
that's great.
Yeah, no, it is good. And it took us a while to find all of those students, but we are really getting there. And it's the all day full-time internet does task our staff, but they're doing a good job of providing the services.
Yeah, I really appreciate you and Sherry working to move the fund over to where the needs are. That's wonderful. Thank you.
Is there an age limit for these kids at this point then with where things are or not?
We right now, so this program, the all-day program, we are taking them through 6th grade.
That's what I thought, okay.
And then we do have drop-in times at the rec center for older kids if they, we're set up at the rec center for times there if they would like nighttime, places to study or need internet service. And I think Sherry was going to get those dates and times to you, Mitch, to get out to people that you may know.
Yeah, because that's what we're seeing again. Just, I mean, today I dealt with two kids who, I mean, since we've gone online, their families have lost their internet because of financial reasons. So, I mean, these kids are literally not logging on right now. There's nothing to do. They're not allowed in school buildings. And, you know, I think that's where there is a concern. That's why I had this in my council comments later, so maybe this is not the right time, but just, is there, whether it is the rec center or the library or some space that we could provide where there is internet, because the board tonight voted for 2 more weeks. So we're now looking towards the middle of December, and the trimester ends on December 4th coming up here. So we're just, I think there's a lot of fear amongst educators that a whole swath of kids are gonna end up without credit in classes purely because of the lack of internet connectivity. Not that it's this city's responsibility to solve that, but at the same point, so there's some of our kids and
We, the rec center is full during the day because of the online, the students that we're dealing with there. But if you have a few, Mitch, I mean, we could help accommodate some of them here at City Hall, because we have good internet service. And, if there's a few that you don't really have the need, please put them in contact with me, and I know we could find space for them.
Yeah, thanks, Kelly, I will.
I just appreciate the can-do spirit and all the hard work that you and Sherry are putting into this to make it work. It's amazing. Thank you.
Well, yeah, I really have to give thanks to Sherry and her staff, because it's not easy. I mean, they have to, they're changing all of the time depending on what happens in the district-wide, and it's not always easy, but they're doing a good job and they're providing a very, very good service. And anybody that, would like to take an hour, I know Sherry or I could show you, because it's really fun to see the kids there and the things that they're doing. And, you can see they appreciate it.
Kelly, is there a way that we could look at partnering with the library to provide space and internet service to some of the kids like Mitch mentioned, especially the older one?
Yeah. Jill and I have discussed that. And so we can go back with that request again. Right now, they're not providing that service, but we could sure try and see if there isn't a safe way to do that. So.
Mitch, is that something that, I need to contact, Keith Jones, or is that something you do, or do you want me to do that, or how to forward?
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that. And like I said, it was very bizarre because our last library board meeting was during our council meeting, which I'm not sure how that happened. It's never happened in my tenure before. So I was not able to go to the library board meeting, but I'll follow up. And we have had discussions. I think at the time, we didn't know to what extent it would be the need, and at the same point, just so maintaining proper social distancing and this or that. I do think older kids, for the most part, especially when they know, I mean, for those of you that are parents, or look at Zach here for former students, that, when people try to make up a trimester in a week, people focus pretty hard. So there's not a lot of goofing around because you don't have time to goof around. So I think kids would be pretty serious and working pretty diligently because of just the time crunch. So,
well, one of them, Mitch, could be the mayor and use the mayor's office when he's not there.
Right.
Absolutely, yeah. I like it.
Lock my desk.
In the library, we also have all of those little rooms, that they have for tutoring. And that would really help with social distancing, besides the tables being far enough apart so that some of these kids that are struggling with their hotspots, would be able to be safe, but still be able to get their work done.
And that's what we're finding, Jill. The hotspots, they get bogged down really, really quick. And that's what we were using at the church. And it worked for a long time when we didn't have as many kids there. But when they're all there and they have to use their computers at the same time now, because they're all they're all doing the same thing at the same time, it really bogs down quickly.
Is this something that we could talk to Mediacom or something, that they could give a boost to these couple of places or something?
Well,
we have been, Jill, I think. Oh, sorry, Kelly, go ahead.
We were actually working with US Cellular and thought we had that solved, but it doesn't help through those hotspots we found out that we have. And so that's become an issue.
The and Medicom, and their Medicom is still not up to date with Duratio stuff yet. I mean, they just got really unfortunate that that happened plus online school. So I mean, I think they actually are trying to, get some things done. The other thing too with hotspots, and a lot of people don't like to hear this, but a lot of our students use hotspots for entertainment, and I know a lot of people wane at that, but I guess my pushback to that is these are kids who are, just the mental and emotional toll that kids are going through right now too. I mean, I think kids need a little bit of an outlet also. So when we have kids who are in a home with zero activity and they have a little outlet, they're probably going to do that. Now, the teacher in me wishes they weren't on Netflix so much, but I think it's not realistic to just say, I mean, the hotspots just are not made for the level of online power that's required to do this level of schooling.
Does South Slope have services near where the library is or any of the churches that we are thinking about providing?
Well, the library already has good service, as does City Hall. So our city facilities are not a problem. The problem that we're having for the one program is it's because it's the church and they don't have internet service. So that's the issue there. But the city, like the recreation center, for example, the program there doesn't have any issues at all. So we've got great service in those locations.
And I think South Slope only goes so far. It probably doesn't go to the church, does it, Kelly?
No, but they do go down Fifth Street for some odd reason. I mean, they provide some commercial areas, they provide service. And so on Fifth Street, I think there's 3 different companies that provide service down there. And it's primarily because there's more commercial businesses and those companies can make more money. So that's really the issue.
Okay, well, let's
Sherry wanted to say something.
Okay, and then
I was just going to jump in and say we've got a couple of different options that we're pricing out right now about getting Wi-Fi over to the church. There's probably more information than you want to know, but we've got a point-to-point option, which uses basically off of the pavilion and then to a transmitter over on the church roof, and then down inside is one. We could do fiber over there from the pavilion. And then we're also looking at a model that a lot of the Southeast Iowa school districts are using. They're basically internet in a suitcase, and they serve about 20 people. And you set it up by a window, it plugs in and feeds off a signal. So we've got some options. We're just pricing them out right now. And we think we can get something going and ordered. And the internet provider, the fiber provider for the city is working on it for us. So we feel really comfortable with that he'll come up with a great solution for us.
thank you, Sherry. Okay, let's have a roll call on setting the public hearing, please.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Wynn.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Okay, resolution passes all ayes, and again, that's on this at our next meeting on December 8th. One more item, then I'm gonna, I really try not to use the word pivot because I'm tired of that word getting overused. But we're gonna do the consent calendar, and then I'm gonna invite Senator Wahls to jump in and speak to us. So I'd consider a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented or amended.
Mayor, I would like the council to please consider approving the consent calendar A through P inclusive.
Okay, moved by Dodd, seconded by
Second.
Wynn. Any discussion on that? Roll call.
Foster.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Wynn.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Okay, consent calendar is approved, all ayes. Unless there's an objection, I would like to invite our State Senator Zach Wahls to speak with us tonight and give us an update and discussion of what he sees coming up with the state legislature and his new leadership role. Congratulations on that in the Senate, Zach.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. It's a big responsibility, and I've been attacking it as much as I can over the last week or so, and I'm really hopeful that it's going to mean good things for our community and my ability to continue to deliver for our area here in Coralville and make sure that we're continuing to move in the right direction as we start to build back and get through COVID and build back from COVID. Also, I think since the last time I spoke to the council, I want to extend my congratulations to Councilor Huynh, and I know everybody here is really excited to have you, and it was awesome to hear you kind of fully engaged in the process. So really, really excited and look forward to meeting you in person at some point here when it's safe to do so. But Mr. Mayor, just, last time we spoke, I remember there were some key priorities. The I-80 interchange, which I was really pleased to see Coralville got that DOT grant, and I was very happy to write a letter to support that, and it's a big credit to the team here in Coralville. Obviously, the launch of the Extreme Arena and Green State Family Fieldhouse. I'm sure that when you went to the drawing board, you were not envisioning opening this in the middle of a pandemic, but we're going to be keeping eyes for opportunities in Des Moines to try and make sure that if there are opportunities to provide some support relief there, we will do that. And then, of course, I know that the backfill remains to be a critical issue for city finances. At this point, we haven't heard any whisper or anything about the backfill, and so we're hoping that it's going to stay that way, and we're going to be able to let some sleeping dogs lie. Logs don't sleep. But sorry, it's been a long day, been a lot of Zooms this afternoon and evening. So in terms of I'll just sketch out a little bit about what I think we're going to be dealing with here in 2021, and then happy to answer any questions and hear a little bit more about what Coralville is facing right now. Obviously, COVID-19 is at the very top of the agenda, and we're really focused on ensuring that we're able to defeat COVID-19 and deliver a safe, effective, and critically, a free vaccine. We got to make sure that we're getting the word out. Uncle Sam is picking up the tab here. The really good news is that we've got several very promising vaccine candidates coming down the pipeline, and we may even have vaccine needles going into people's arms as soon as mid to late December. And to the extent that that's happening, that's obviously we're going to be prioritizing our frontline healthcare workers first, then our folks who are in those vulnerable or at-risk groups, and then obviously the general public after them. So because of the number of vaccines that are coming, we're cautiously optimistic we're going to get one of these high 90% plus effective vaccines, and we're going to start to be able to really kind of enter the beginning of the end of COVID-19, which obviously we are all very, very excited about. And then on the legislative side, my priority is the Democratic leaders to ensure that the people of Iowa continue to have access to the lowercase d democratic process as we get ready to go back to legislate. We've asked all of our school districts to write these return to learn plans. I'm encouraging my Republican counterparts that we need to have a return to legislate plan so that we have a fully accessible and fully transparent legislative process. If we are doing some of these virtual meetings like this for subcommittees or committee work, and I've had some fantastic conversations already with Majority Leader Jack Whitver, who is my Republican equivalent over here in the Senate, and he's expressed an interest in going that route. So we're cautiously optimistic about having a safe and transparent legislative return in January. When we do get back to work, obviously our top priority, at least for my caucus, is going to be on trying to put us in the best possible position to build back better. There are a lot of things we've been supporting for a long time that we see as being an important part of building back better. Things like raising the minimum wage, expanding access to childcare and support for childcare providers, continuing to focus on affordable housing, but also some things that are very specific to this agenda, which would include things like emergency authorization of rainy day funds to help support our small businesses and frontline healthcare workers who are really struggling. We actually called on the majority party to do this when we reconvened last June, but they declined to do so at that time. And I'm a little frustrated because if this isn't a rainy day, I mean, what is a rainy day? So we're going to be pushing for that pretty hard. And of course, we're all hoping, I think Republicans and Democrats alike, that Washington, D.C. gets its act together and gets this phase 4 COVID bill signed, and we can get some more funds sent down to state and local government to help us get through what we all know is going to be a really dark winter before spring finally arrives. So that's basically it for me from Des Moines, or I guess technically from Winter Park Drive here in Coralville. But in terms of Des Moines, that's what's on the agenda, and I'd be happy to answer any questions and learn a little bit more about what Coralville's priorities are headed into to 2021.
Well, first of all, Senator Wahls, I just want to say welcome and thank you for all of your service. You've been, in the short time that you've had your role, you've been a fantastic representative for the city of Coralville. One of the questions I have, you brought up the backfill. That's obviously something that is, of great concern to us, that we always keep our eyes out for every legislative session. I wondered if you could talk a little bit about the possibility of some legislation to protect mobile home owners.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Councilor Foster, always a pleasure to see you. And I love the little bobbleheads on the desk behind you. But in terms of the issues around affordable housing generally and manufactured housing specifically, my team has actually been in contact with Debbie Durham, who's the director of the Iowa Finance Authority, and she and her staff are working on a kind of more omnibus affordable housing piece of legislation. We haven't had the chance yet to get our eyes on that, but we're really excited to take a look about what's going on underneath the hood there, because we've been providing her lots of ideas about what we think should be in a bipartisan omnibus bill, and obviously protections for residents of manufactured housing, something that's very near and dear to my heart, and something that will continue to be a priority for me as leader. I can't tell you at this point yet what that kind of legislative compromise might look like. Some folks might recall that last year I was able to introduce legislation with 30 senators, so more than a majority of the chamber. Republicans and Democrats came together around what we thought was a fairly common sense set of reforms that were comprehensive and would have really leveled the playing field for folks who live in mobile homes. Unfortunately, that legislation was killed behind closed doors by industry lobbyists. And so we are hoping that this year with, I think maybe a renewed focus on the issue of housing, especially amid this pandemic and all of the evictions that we've seen across the state, that this might be something that has some new urgency. And so, hope springs eternal. I can't say exactly yet what that final product would look like, but it will continue to be a priority for me as leader and for our caucus. And, to the extent that we are seeing some conversation, I think both here in Iowa and maybe even at a national level, that the Republican Party is very interested in supporting working class people. Obviously, I'd think that if, to the extent that that is in fact the case, that this would be a part of that agenda as well. But we're not going to count our chickens until they hatch.
Thank you for that. I'm also curious, has there been any conversation? Of course, we're always curious about TIF reform or any legislation that would relate to TIF.
Yeah, it's a good question. Not that I've heard, the last year there were some conversations going around mostly on property taxes and some reforms there. But when COVID hit, I think a lot of that got sidetracked. And the two real animating forces behind that legislation, one of them is Senator Randy Feenstra, who is now a congressman-elect and on his way to replace Steve King in Washington, D.C. I certainly would not have voted for Mr. Feenstra in that race, but I think he'll be a big improvement over the prior occupant of that office. And then to the second major driver, I'd say, was Senator Jake Chapman. Mr. Chapman was elected by his colleagues to serve as the Senate president. Now, as president, he'll still have the opportunity to serve on policy committees and to drive some policy. And the Senate presidency is obviously plays an important role in setting the agenda for the Senate. He will have slightly less time to focus on reforms to the tax code or what have you. So it's not clear to me if we will see major changes to taxes this year. And of course, we'll be keeping a close eye for that if anything does emerge.
Senator, one of the things that IDD and IFA has done is they've really streamlined the programs and made it much easier to get funds. We were able to receive 3 CDBG COVID emergency grants this year, and we received the housing rehab grant, and we also received a housing down payment assistance. All of those have been made much easier because they have a much more streamlined program, and so we don't have to spend near that effort, time, or pain that we normally had to do in the past. So if you would just pass on to those agencies that they've done a really good job and it's been helpful, and they were able, the CDBG funds, they were able to get out there very quickly, and they would give you an answer on those COVID ones in 1 week. So that's pretty amazing for any state agency to be able to do that. So
that's really terrific to hear. And you said that was IEDA?
ID
and IFA?
And IFA, yeah. It was changes that Debbie Durham had made, or her staff had. So those are really, really helpful, because it was a very painful process in the past to get through some of those programs. So just would like to thank them for those efforts, and hopefully they can continue that. Workforce housing tax credits has also been one that's been very successful here. And I was just reading an article today by an economist about one of the ways you drive down rental rates is you have more supply. And that's what the workforce housing tax credits did. And they've had a backlog now for 3 years. And so no new programs or new projects in the urban areas. In the rural areas, they did get additional funds this last year. So it would just be really helpful if that program could be looked at and that we could get that back online, because I know we have a lot of developers that would be willing to jump into that program and take advantage of it if it was offered to them.
I will, and you did say, I want to make sure I'm hearing this correctly. You said IEDA.
Yes.
Okay. When I write a letter to Director Durham passing along your regards on the grant process, I'll make sure to mention that the same folks who are saying very nice things about her back home are also saying, these workforce housing tax credits are really great and we want more of them. So we will pass that along, and hopefully we'll see that in her housing bill that she brings forward here in 2021.
Yeah, I think it really is shown to pay off, because it worked all across the state, and places that hadn't been able to do housing for years and years were able to do it. And it worked in small towns as well as large towns. So I think that's not the issue. It's just being able to get enough of those credits.
Right. And, again, to the extent we're talking about building back better and trying to make sure that we get the economy going again, I think that these are all the kinds of things that have to be on the table and approached from that economic development perspective as we start to look to 2021 and beyond. Thanks, Kelly.
Zach, I want to say congratulations on your leadership position.
Hey.
And then regarding childcare, I'm glad to hear that that's still going to be a focus of 21. While we're throwing out kudos through the CARES Act with the Department of Human Services, child development homes and centers have gotten small stipends each month for the last few months, which have been very helpful, especially as providers may have to close down for a 14-day quarantine as children or families get positive tests. So that's been helpful. I hope that that can continue a little bit longer until the vaccine is available to everyone, and that hopefully will be in the frontline worker combination. So as usual, if you need me with the child care stuff, I am at your service. So
Absolutely.
Thanks for all your work.
Well, I appreciate that, Councilor Dodds, and you've obviously been in my thoughts as we've been working through some of these issues. I hope that you and yours are hanging in there okay. I know this has been a really rough time for a lot of families, and I could not agree more that our child care workers are essential workers.
Thank you.
I was really proud that you happened to use a chicken pun earlier when you said count chickens before they hatch, because we have a thing going on at our council meetings, and I hadn't used one yet. But on a
We've got to stop him, Zach.
That needs to end. Don't do that anymore.
Yeah,
don't encourage it.
I was just thinking that, hey, I'm bringing some brevity here. It is kind of crazy that with Dick Myers and then now you, just the role that Coralville's had in leadership positions in the Iowa legislature. And obviously with Dick, those are huge shoes to fill. But if anyone can, Zach, you can. And just extremely proud and not just that you're our senator, but just that you are in the leadership role that you are. And, we as a council will depend, on your water carrying quite a bit. And we know that you definitely have the shoulders to do it. So we're very honored and proud to have you, not just as our senator, but as our leader.
Well, Mitch, I really appreciate that. And as a spring chicken, I like to think that I am someone you can bet the farm on, and I plan to be here until the cows come home. So
that's my point right there.
Hey, Senator Wahls, I just have to chime in. Coralville is very active in the Iowa League of Cities. And we did have a meeting today of policy overview of the legislative positions and so on, and that's for local control, public safety, infrastructure, financial stability, and economic development. You're probably very familiar with all of that, that's what cities are looking for. And I just wondered what your thoughts are. Last year, a lot of talk was done about increasing the state sales tax by 1%, and that 3/8 would go to the Iowa Water, and then 5/8 possibly could go to mental health care. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, well, Councilor Goodrich, always nice to see you. And
Yeah.
It's a good question. You know, I had some serious reservations about Governor Reynolds' proposal last year. I was worried about how she was planning to use, frankly, the 3/8 cent, you know, we're not perfect, but I could live with. It was the remaining 5/8 cent that I had some challenges with, because she wanted to use a chunk of that to cut income taxes and for individuals and for corporations. And anytime you're raising the sales tax to pay for an income tax cut, I have really big concerns about how that affects especially kind of lower income and working class families. So that was a big concern that I had. They also wanted to change some of the funding in terms of how the 3/8 cent would be used for things like trails and some of the outdoor recreational opportunities. And I think Sherry might still be with us, even though I think she turned her camera off. I got to spend a lot of my time social distancing outdoors over the summer on Coralville's fantastic single track mountain bike trails. And I would be really bummed if in changing these formulas, we shortchanged other Iowa communities that were trying to bring similar recreational opportunities to the folks who call those areas home. And so again, I think it's hard for me to say with clarity how either I or my caucus would vote on something until we have an actual proposal in front of us. But I think the key priorities that we would have would be, you know, obviously, is it something that's going to be fair for families and not cause an undue increase in taxation on lower income and working class households? And then, you know, how much kind of tweaking, right, of the formula are we doing underneath the hood? Because, you know, devil's in the details, and it really is going to come down to how the actual proposal gets written, and then not just what the governor proposes, but once it's gone through the whole process in Des Moines of amendments here and there, where have we landed? So I'm not trying to dodge the question. But I do think that there are some concerns about the I will proposal as Governor Reynolds put it forward last year, and frankly, I don't expect that she will bring that forward again this year. Although I guess I don't see Tom or John on here; they might have heard otherwise, but. Just raising taxes during a pandemic is kind of a tough sell, right? So it would surprise me if they brought that forward this year to take effect on July 1, which is when the next fiscal year would get going. So it's a long way of saying I don't know.
Yeah, Zach, Lori stole my thunder. I was getting ready to mention the Iowa League of Cities as well. You know, they're a great organization that represents the needs of cities across the state. And then layer in, you know, that's Robert Palmer is heading that up for the League of Cities. And then layer in our legislative representative is Tom Cope. And I know you know Tom, and he'll be great to work with and will always represent our interests as well. So I have great confidence in the new Senate leadership. So I'm looking forward to working with you.
Well, I really appreciate that, Mr. Mayor. And I would maybe just close by saying how proud I was to see Coralville leading the way and considering some reforms for more accountability and law enforcement. And I think that the fact that we're able to move forward together as a community is really exciting. And does not surprise me to see Coralville leading the way yet again.
Great.
As always, you all know how to get a hold of me. I will confess my inbox is a little bit further away from zero than I would like it to be at the moment. I am hoping to take a little bit of time here on the holiday weekend to get my email and phone messages a little bit back better under control. But I have a phenomenal legislative staff who will be working for me at the Capitol and making sure that as we're having these conversations that we're always remembering not just how these issues affect the state of Iowa, but how they affect Coralville and the rest of Senate District 37. because even though I may have been elected to this leadership position, I'm a senator to District 37 first, and that is always going to continue to be at the very top of my agenda when I'm serving all of you in Des Moines. So any questions, concerns, always feel free to reach out directly to me. And then also I will make sure, maybe Mitch, I can share the contact information for Debbie and Baker, two of my administrative assistants who are helping me out going forward. They'll be the folks who'll be able to help us make sure that if you ever have any questions, concerns, if you're coming to Des Moines, you want a tour of the Capitol in a socially distanced or safe way, we'll make that happen too.
I just want to quickly offer my congratulations to Senator Zach on your new leadership role. I am very new at my role here at City Council, so I don't have any question for you just yet. Maybe next time when you pop back in and give us a report, maybe then I have a string of questions for you.
Well,
but I'm looking forward to one day to be able to meet you in person and working with you.
Well, Councilor Nguyen, you've been in your new job longer than I've been in mine, so I definitely look forward to getting the chance to meet again in person. And anytime you have a question, if anything pops up, never hesitate to send me an email or give me a phone call.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Have a good rest of your evening.
Happy Thanksgiving, Zach. Good luck working with your colleague on the other side of the Capitol, Representative Jacoby. He can be a challenging person, I know, but no one better than you to control him. So,
yeah, Representative Jacoby and I have been in touch, and we're looking forward to getting back to work.
I'm sure. Yep, that's great. Thanks for taking the time to be with us.
Absolutely, and have a great Thanksgiving.
Yep, see you now. Okay, that was terrific. Well, let's move on to back to our agenda, item 17, and that's the City Administrator's Report.
You're on
Muted.
Sorry about that. Just one quick item. We do have coming up on December 13th, the Isle of Lights, and the committee is working really hard on providing opportunities to do things in a socially distant way, and so that you can get outside and you can participate in the holidays and have something fun for your family to do. So just check out December 13th. There's a lot of things going on around the community, and all the times are on our website. So thanks, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Kelly. Next item is Mayor's Report. Just a few quick things. One, I just wanted to emphasize that, what was it, a week ago Friday, I proclaimed a much stronger mask mandate for our community, and seems to be working. I think it's, I was talking to my wife, and we're not seeing the violations that we were before. So please, it's so easy to do. You know, everyone should know by now, wear a mask, be safe around the holidays. But moving on from that, today in our mailbox at home and probably across Coralville, the new Coralville Connection newsletter came out. And this is, I was just looking, it's a wealth of information that I'm not even going to try and go through about what's coming up in the next few months over the winter in Coralville. Every page is full of good information. The one item that I always like to mention to folks is garbage collection, refuse collection around holidays. So obviously this Thursday and Friday are city holidays, so there is no collection of refuse either Thursday or Friday. So if you're a Thursday pickup, regular pickup, your pickup will be on Monday of next week, and then everybody else will be a day later. Monday will be on Tuesday, Tuesday pickups on Wednesday, and so forth. Thursdays will be on Friday. So try and remember that, and don't put out your garbage on Thursday or Friday. So with that, and happy Thanksgiving to everyone. I'll move on to City Attorney's Report.
Kevin.
I've got nothing.
I have nothing either, Your Honor.
Okay, relatively quiet. Committee and council members' reports. I don't have any particular order here. Hi, would you like to go first?
Gladly, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay.
I don't have much. I just wanted to say that with the holiday coming up, Thanksgiving is around the corner. I would encourage everyone to stick with the mask up that we have, not only in our city, but in our neighboring city too. And maybe hold off on traveling to see your family or gathering to see your family and friends. We need to work collectively together to, to keep the number down, because we don't want to, if we want to have Christmas together, I'm being very hopeful here. If we want to have Christmas together, we have to start doing our part now. And I know that I am doing my part, and I know that all of you do. And I'm hoping that the community member would do their part too, to keep our community safe. The next one I have is really exciting news. So as you all know, the Coralville Community Food Pantry have been hosting a community meal for the last 5-6 years. Every 3 months we have a meal. And our last meal was scheduled for March of this year, and it was going to be a global potluck dinner. And it had to be postponed because COVID happened really fast upon us. It's had been a long 9 months trying to reinvent the way that we do things at the pantry, and then also reimagine all of our plan that we had before COVID hit. And I am happy to report that we are kickstarting our community meal again this December. So December 11 will be the first community meal after a 9-month haul. It is going to be a to-go style. With everything happened with COVID, we have to think of a safer way to offer similar thing to our community member. So it is a community meal. However, you get to take that meal to go home and enjoy it with your family that you live with in the same household. We will have more details soon, but right now I can tell you that it is going to be on Friday, December 11, from 5:30 to 7. And it is going to be at the United Methodist Church in Coralville. We are going to utilize that kitchen, and then their parking lot to have a drive-through pickup sort of things. It is going to have a meat option and a vegan option with dessert and everything. We are also partnering with the Coralville Public Library to be able to offer some sort of a game so that family can enjoy a meal and play a game together. And those games, they can take it on the go with them, or they can keep it and play for long term. And it's a family game, so no age limits. So those are the two things that I have to report. Thank you, and happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Thank you, Hi. Megan, would you like to go?
I really don't have anything other than to say happy Thanksgiving, and also thank you to my colleagues and to the mayor for the mask mandate. I'm really glad that we took that step. I think it's critically important. And I would just remind folks to make sure that you're wearing your mask correctly. So the mask goes over your nose and your mouth. It doesn't go under your chin. It doesn't go under your nose. It should cover your whole face. And again, I'm just grateful that we did take that step to keep everyone safe. And that is all I have. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you. Going across my screen, Mitch, you are next in line.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've got a couple things. I guess I'll start with two of the items when we were talking about our racial justice ordinance. I brought up the last couple about making sure our camera is in touch and in sync with what it needs to be. And I did read our policy that we have, and I think it does look pretty good. I compared it to some other municipalities, and I think the one thing I'd like to have a discussion about at some is we have, we use the phrasing should rather than shall when camera should be on and used. And when I compared that to other communities such as Dubuque, it was like very similar language, but they did have a should. So I would like that examined just to have a sure thing of protecting our police officers as well as our community members. The other thing too is regarding the disproportionality numbers. We talked earlier about possibly having Chris Barnum from St. Ambrose come, who's kind of the state's expert on disproportionality in policing. And I think that'd be a really good presentation for our council now that we've kind of identified it as a problem. I think he's one of the national experts on specific tactics communities can take to lower those numbers. So I'd like to see that get planned at some point. And then just along the Thanksgiving theme, I do know that tomorrow night from 5 to 7, the food pantry is offering Thanksgiving meals. So families who would like to stop by and get some ingredients or actual warm meals tomorrow night from 5 to 7, the food pantry is offering that, as well as the crisis center as well. And just again, on thankfulness, I just want to, I say this every year, but just to say and reiterate, how thankful I am for so many things in Coralville, our tremendous staff. I'm always so proud that we have the city staff that we have, from our sanitation workers and our streets workers, all the way up to our officials in City Hall and everybody in between. That it's really a shared vision that we all have, and I just always am deeply appreciative of that. I appreciate having this council. I feel that just since High's election, this has been one of the I think it's a nice working group, and I feel we're on the same page with things, even though there's not always universal agreement, but there's a level of decorum that I think really would be a model for any government entity across the state. And I really hope that keeps going 2020 and 2021 beyond. And lastly, I just, I'm just thankful for, just the community spirit of Coralville. I'm always shocked by the resilience of our community, whether it's floods or pandemics or financial issues or social issues that when we really get tested, we come through as a city. And I'm always very proud of that and thankful for that. So on behalf of that, I just want to say happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Thank you, Mitch. Well put. Jill.
Thank you, Mayor. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. My family, my parents are elderly. I hope my mom doesn't ever watch this because she'd be really mad if she heard me use that word. So we've decided to go virtual for our holiday gathering. So I've been busy crafting and putting together family boxes to send out so that we can do things online. But with that said, I have been out and about in Coralville more than I usually have been lately, except for the grocery store, and everyone is wearing a mask. And I am so excited. I mean, I find myself saying, thanks for wearing a mask, people on the sidewalk. I feel like I'm kind of nuts, but it's going well. And I am thrilled that we did the second mask mandate. And so mandate's kind of not the word, but I still like that word. So anyway, Thanksgiving, stay home, stay in your little pod with your family, stay safe. We want to be able to get together for Christmas. So everybody stay healthy, keep masking up. And the PR department has done a really good job of getting the word out. So kudos to them too. Thanks.
Thank you, Jill. And Lori.
Hey, I'd like to just expand on a couple things on the Coralville connection and Thanksgiving, that we get outside and enjoy, we joke here at our house, just run around the house 3 times or something, but we have wonderful trails, and the Coralville connection has a whole section on that, on all the places you can go. I mean, there's disc golfing, you can walk through the woods on the trails, do the sidewalks, biking, that's mountain biking. It's incredible. All the different activities that we can do free of charge and right here close to home. I noticed Mitch, you mentioned Dick Myers, and I just saw him out at the Tom Harkin Trailhead, and he informed me that he kind of watches over that area, picks up trash and so on. And Sunday afternoon, he was taking care of the moles out there. So we just appreciate everybody's involvement in keeping our community safe and nice, and all those that are involved in that. I want to thank and congratulate Ed Bowers, who has worked for the city of Coralville for over 40 years. He retires tomorrow, and we want to send our appreciation and good wishes to him. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. Thanks for mentioning Ed Bowers. I feel bad I forgot that. So great guy. Great.
We're a team.
Yeah, there we go. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mayor, can I ask one question real quick?
Yes.
Kelly, is a date for luminaries set yet?
Yeah, that's officially called Isle of Lights, and it's the 13th.
It's what he mentioned during his report.
You said that during the report? Ooh.
Hey, Mitch, I know you don't listen to me.
Here, Mitch. In
Sorry,
here,
Kelly.
Mitch. In here.
I apologize. Okay, my bad.
That's all right.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to adjourn, and then we'll go into the work session.
So moved.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Okay, moved by Mitch. I think he jumped in first, and seconded by Foster. I think you all jumped in there. So all in favor, say aye.
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 Great.